Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another event video here on Marvel Strike Force. Now, this video is probably going to be one of the most important event videos for you to watch in the last little while, because this is going to be the very first ISO Purple event, and doing as well as possible in this event is going to mean a great deal. Obviously, this ISO Purple is going to be used for Dark Dimension 8 and accumulating as much as you possibly can, and the crystals and then all the orb fragments and stuff that you're going to need. All of this is going to be so important. There's also a leaderboard. We're going to talk about all of this and how you're going to be able to do the best that you possibly can. Disclaimer, though, is that this is a bit of a cash grabby whale event, but hey, a lot of them usually are. But we're going to talk about that as well. So if you're ready to go, let's boil this down. Now, before we get into the main event, I do want to quickly cover really quickly the Midnight Assault. This is going to be the Alliance War Alliance-based event, which is also going to be going live. So let's just dive into the full screen mode here. Not too much to cover. I mean, it looks pretty much the same. I don't normally, go into much detail on these ones. There's a bunch of gold. There's the currency that we're going to get. And you can see here, down here at the bottom, the limit's 430k for war battles. You're going to get, I don't know, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 on the free claim per person. So you're probably going to wind up like milestone 16. Maybe you can get a little bit further. I forget where you normally cap out free to play. But, this is a decent amount of gold. It looks to be about almost 3 million gold over this event. So that's not too bad. The rest of it's not really that big of a deal, though. So just wanted to cover that really quick to give you guys a little bit of an expectation for that. 7.5 million gold. Absolutely. I really don't think that is within free to play reach. That would be nice, though, wouldn't it? That's a lot of gold, actually, in fact. But anyways, I want to talk about also the leaderboard for this upcoming event. Let's zoom in a little touch more, because they've kind of changed the way that this works as far as the structure goes. However, it will be very similar to what you're kind of used to. So you can see right here that there is going to be T3 ISO 8 credits, T3 level 1 ions, and radioactive treats. The treats are actually all the way down through the leaderboard, and the T3 ISO 8 credits and ions are only in the top 10,000. Now, top 10,000 is basically what 1 to 3% was. So that's been scrapped in favor of a new 1 to 10%, which frankly is like 3 to 10%, but hey, it is what it is. And there's like several more breakdowns between, top 1K and top 10K, because, before there really wasn't. So it's kind of good to know that, you can still push, right? Like normally when I would hoard my energy, and by the way, hopefully you did take notice of that, and you did that when I mentioned it, was hoarding campaign energy for this event. I would normally be able to kind of land in like the top 3,000. Like if I hoarded really well, like that's where I could probably get. So I'm very curious as to how much I'm going to be able to push for this event. How many spenders exist, or, how many spenders push me out, I suppose, from my hoarding position. And, I'd be really happy if I could get into this 2,500 to 5,000 range. That's kind of my goal really for this event. Now, while we're here taking a look at some of the tables, let's take a quick look at the web milestone really quickly. This is very easy to clear, so I'm just going to go over this very briefly. We're going to skim through it on the math side of things, but you need to get 5,500 points, and you do this through spending incursion energy and through raid battles. It's pretty easy. It's something like we'll see it in the actual table, but I believe it's 13 raid battles if you don't use any incursion energy, and it's about 8 to 9 raid battles a day if you do use your daily incursion energy. That being said, some people kind of struggle with this from time to time because of the spotlight raids, and you don't get as many raid attacks as you used to under the Greek raid system. So, plan accordingly. 13 raid attacks will obviously require you over both raids. That being said, there's tons of main milestone points here, some radioactive treats, and radioactive orb fragments. Now, these orbs are going to be containing Cabal and Out of Time characters. A lot of these, which may not be that great for endgame players, with the exception of maybe Leader, if you still need to get them to 7 yellow like I do. But the rest of the characters I largely have at 7 yellow, so this is maybe a better orb for like early and mid game players, which kind of sucks because, for all the hoarding that I've done, this is basically what I'm going to get out of it, unless there's some side pillar stuff like some gold or some, I don't know, training materials or something like that that might be of value to my main account. This is going to be the main milestone here. We're going to cover this really quickly as well. There is a ton of these radioactive treats, which is going to be for the event store, right? And what I do want to kind of point out is that while getting the event item isn't too challenging, there is a massive sort of uptick on how many treats exist on these whale stones. So this whole entire radioactive treats here is like something like 80 or 90,000. And then from here on, you get like 40,000, 100,000. So you're doubling, the treats just in a single milestone down here, which is pretty crazy. And this is not obviously free to play friendly. And they're really trying to squeeze spenders into paying more for this kind of stuff because there is not only so much treats, but there's going to be so many of these T3 ISO 8 credits and T3 ions, both which are going to be very important, obviously, to the Dark Dimension 8 grind for Odin. So, and there's some red gear as well, but it's going to be mainly the purple ISO stuff, right? And so there's a lot of extra whale stones on this event. I honestly don't believe we're going to get much past milestone 15. We're going to talk about that too. You can see the point breakdown here down below, and actually it's on my table too. This is why I think that this is actually a very whale baity type event, because you're only actually, let's just start at the bottom. So they're only giving points to Captain Britain if you have them at 5 yellow. They're not even, it's a slap in the face. They're not even giving you bonus points if you spent like what is it, $300 or whatever to unlock Captain Britain at 3 yellow. No, you only get points if you actually spent to get him to 5 yellow, which I don't know how much that is, like an extra $100 or whatever it was to go from 3 to 5 yellow. But it's besides the point, right? Like they're only giving points for 5, 6, and 7 yellow Captain Britain. I think it's pretty crazy. However, if you did unlock Captain Britain, that means you have a 5 yellow Hank Pym and Black Panther Shuri. So at least you're going to get an additional 9,000 points out of that. And of course, they're making you use your Illuminati team in Crucible offense. So this is really important that you guys take them off defense. These points are very important. If you do not have Hank Pym, that means that you only have, and you don't have Captain Britain, of course. That means you only have 4 Illuminati characters to use, which means that you pretty much have to do throwaway attacks potentially over the next 3 Crucibles starting Monday, Tuesday, and the following Sunday. So keep that in mind. These points are going to be very, very important because obviously with the leaderboard attached, you got to score as much as you can. So let's jump right in here. Let's zoom in more. So Radioactive Prep. This is the 7-day event that requires campaign and energy, Crucible with Illuminati, Incursion energy, and raids. Now, you don't really need to spend the Incursion energy, so it's up to you. The funny thing is that I've been hoarding my Incursion energy for quite some time. You can see it over here with 1300. I guess I was just hoping that there was a leaderboard event that required me to spend Incursion energy in the main milestone or something like that. But it hasn't come to pass, and I've been sitting on this for a long time, and it makes me wonder how many dark promo credits I might have picked up if I was just doing my natural spending. I guess my hoarding instincts kind of got the better of me because you're not getting a whole lot of things other than I have no red stars to farm, right? So it's just not really much that I need out of it. So my hoarding tendencies have kind of kept me going on. But otherwise, by the time the event goes live, hopefully I have well over 10,000 energy. So I'm looking forward to being able to spend that. And we'll talk about what that's going to look like as well. So again, 300,000 for those whale stones. Not getting there. 58K, however, for the event item. And that's going to be at milestone 13. There's about 110,000 reasonable radioactive treats. 90,000 in the main milestone and 20,000 more out of the web milestone. Like I said before, there's lots past milestone 15, but we're realistically not getting there. Free claims. I don't know what this is going to be. It could be there could be treats in there. I imagine for the milestone though, you're probably looking at 500 points a day. That's pretty common. We'll see if we get any treats on top of that. That might be nice for the event store. The total web milestone points is 40k, which is a lot actually, and it's quite a lot towards the event item. It's 10,000 orb fragments and 30,000 direct milestone points. And like I said, 13 raid attacks daily if you do not spend incursion energy, or about 8/9 raid attacks if you do your daily incursion energy spending. Do not core or incursion energy. It's not necessary. Now, the points is here. The reason why it's in orange is because I don't know how free to play friendly this really is. I mean, this is all absolutely not free to play friendly. If you want to throw your matches potentially, or if you have Illuminati built, great, do that. But for a lot of people, there's a possibility that you're going to need to throw them, right? You need to do 2 5-man battles or 3 4-man battles, I guess, or include some characters to throw. But you need to use 10 characters over or 10 Illuminati characters over 3 matches, right? However you want to spin that. But regardless, I don't really like this because for people who haven't invested in them yet, you are basically throwing your match or making it a lot harder for you to win in all 3 times, because that's what I'm going to do. because I want these leaderboard points, right? Like this is more important to me than winning a crucible, unfortunately. But getting that purple ISO is the most important thing that should be on your mind right now. And I don't like the fact that they're asking people to use characters that they may not have upgraded in Cosmic Crucible. It's a little bit different, I think, when it comes to places like in my opinion, it's different in like Alliance War because I feel like one throw in Alliance War or half a throw is not gonna like make or break it, but they absolutely do in Cosmic Crucible. So I don't know. That's just me. As far as the campaign energy goes, though, let's zoom in a little couple more. I think that the ratio is going to be 2 to 1. Pretty sucky. I hope it's better, but my conservative estimate is 2 to 1 because when you add all the points up together, you basically get the event item. And I don't think they want you pushing too many of the milestones free to play because this is purple ISO and they want to monetize the shit out of this. So I think that this is probably what we're going to get. Based on the extra energy that I have hoarding, I hope it's more, but I'm going on a 2 to 1. And if it's better than that, then great. But that's kind of the expectation that I have. So this is basically about 15,000 points, 15.5 thousand points if you're doing 200 cores daily. That's going to give you about 2,200 milestone points per day, or orb fragments. Actually, I think you're farming orb fragments for the extra Cabal shards or whatever, but realistically, it goes directly into your main milestone points. And so the total reasonable points, if you're only spending 200 cores and you're not using Illuminati, like I guess you, whatever, right? Like let's say you don't want to throw your Crucible matches, you will get the event item with the free claim, but that's about it. Now, if you spend 400 cores and you don't use Illuminati, I mean that's a weird situation, but anyways, it's not much. So going from 200 to 400 cores daily during the event is only going to net you an extra 3,300 points or so. And the funny thing is though is that that could make a difference when it comes to the leaderboard. But if you really care about the leaderboard, then you're going to be doing, and that meant this was supposed to say 400 actually. If you really care about the leaderboard, then you would be throwing or using your Illuminati for those 10,000 points because that's going to be really important. So if you do use your Illuminati, you will get to milestone 14. I want to bring that one up really quickly again. It's actually it's here. So milestone 14, which will give you more T3 level 1 ions. Not a lot. 20,000 over here and 2,000, which is like one orb of those class orbs. And so it's not a ton. If you can get to milestone 15, however, at 82,000 points, the only way that you'd be able to do that would be, let's say, if you hoard, like I'm hoarding 10,000 energy, right? So if I times by 2, that's an additional 20,000 on top of this number. That's 85,000 with the free claim. That's over milestone 15. And that's a good milestone free to play, even with some hoarding. That's 30,000 T3 level 1 ions. That's 2 more orbs, which is not a lot, but it gives you 40,000 more radioactive treats. And I think that will have some value there as well. And obviously, you're going to be pushing this leaderboard more. And I think getting as far as you can do with that is going to be important. So I hope that my hoarding has some value, at least in the leaderboard potential, if nothing else. So finally, I kind of want to wrap this up with some notes. It's not much, but it's important. So this event contains a very important purple ISO leaderboard, like I mentioned, and you should be pushing for this. The only way, however, for free-to-play to push progress on the leaderboard is by coring campaign energy. I do recommend throwing matches if necessary to get those extra 10,000 Illuminati points because it's going to be very important. Getting as many points as possible in this event is going to be very, very important for your purple ISO progress that you're going to want towards Dark Dimension 8. It's possible that things might be a little bit more generous than what I'm stating in here. And, how we get more radioactive treats as, I don't know how many weeks it is. Is it a month? I forget what I said in the blog, but it's going to be around for more than just this week. The event store is actually going to be around for a little while. So, if we're able to get a reasonable amount of purple ISO stuff along the way and only spending it on purple ISO stuff in the event store is going to be really, really important. So that's going to be the end of this video, everyone. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Are you ready for purple ISO? Are you ready for Dark Dimension 8 and Odin? There's obviously going to be much more events, yes, and much more videos to come when it comes to covering both purple ISO, Dark Dimension 8, and all things Marvel Strike Force. So thanks for coming to the video, everyone. And until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.